Rays starters have shown this season you can let the leash be a little bit longer than in years past. It was an odd decision by the standards that have been created this year, and an odd decision by who was on the mound. It wasn't an odd decision if you've watched Rays baseball since 2015 when Cash took over.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Captain Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
We're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily. So get your Rays gear all settled in as we discuss a bunch of different things that happened during the weekend where the Rays took a series from the Detroit Tigers. We will also be discussing Zack Littell's performances throughout 2025, Taylor Walls' June, which has been an improvement, Taj's struggles, All-Star voting updates, and schedule changes. It's all coming to you first, but we got to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com and new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first dollar bet wins. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. All right, people. So the sweep was not to be in the cards, I guess, this weekend. However, they were close. They were real close. Zack Littell was pulled after 5 innings and 69 pitches. Let's start with this. It's easier to say after all is said and done. However, if you're watching the game in real time, you had to wonder why. I'm not even going to talk about matchups or anything like that, but let's look at it. Let's look at this from the Rays front office and Cash's side. Why am I going to keep putting bullets on Zack Littell's arm? This guy has a rubber arm, sure, but when is that going to give? And if we're trying to maybe flip him by the trade deadline, you might want to keep those numbers as pristine as possible so that you could possibly get a better return and not damage that asset value. That all makes sense to me. On the other side, it's, hey, see, 69 pitches. This guy has shown time and time again that he is durable. He's shown time and time again that he is stable, and he's a stable contributor. In fact, if you look at his numbers, he started 16 games for the Rays, 16 games. Only 3 times has he allowed 4 runs or more. And that's your 5th starter for the Rays. That's amazing. That is really awesome. So a little bit let down that was the decision that was made. I understand the other side from Cash in the front office, but it did seem to me like you could have at least given him the 6. I know it's the middle of the order and it's the 3rd time facing them, but I think he has earned that. Again, the Rays starters have shown this season like you can let the leash be a little bit longer than in years past. It was an odd decision by the standards that have been created this year, and an odd decision by who was on the mound. It wasn't an odd decision if you've watched Rays baseball since 2008, basically. Or let's say let's bring that back a little bit, since 2015 when Cash took over. It's not an odd decision. But given what the Rays rotation has given you in 2025, given what Zack Littell has done in 2025, it was a little bit off-putting, at least for me. Although I do understand the other side. But if I would have had the power, I would have given Zack the ball. And while that was happening, that was my stance too. It wasn't something like, what is it called? The Monday morning quarterbacking? Yeah, it wasn't that. At the moment, I was like, why are you not giving him the ball? He's at 69 pitches. But that's neither here nor there. The Rays were excellent, really, except for that blow up by Forrest Whitley there and Clevenger allowing that home run. You can't win every game, but you've shown again in back-to-back weekends. Doesn't matter if it's the Mets, doesn't matter if it's the Detroit Tigers, doesn't matter if they have the best record in their respective leagues. The Rays can put up big numbers against their pitching staffs and win out. Really great news on that front. I want to give a shout out to Taylor Walls because his June has been unlike most of his career and 2025 before June. In June, in 14 games, he's hitting .313 with a home run, a 151 WRC plus. I'm starting to think, okay, what has been the change? The biggest thing that I was able to find was the hard hit percentage has increased a ton. And you guys know I want to say another word, but a ton. And he's actually hitting the ball hard over 35% of the time. A Taylor Walls with this type of production, and I'm not saying that he can have a .313 average and a 151 and WRC plus the whole way through. That's not what I'm saying. But listen to this. If he's able to be a guy that hits 220, which he's doing this season, if he's a guy that can approach 80 WRC plus, which he is this season, and very close to being that guy, and the defense does not falter, which it hasn't at shortstop, he's making it incredibly difficult for the Rays to say no, especially when you can utilize him the way that you've been using him in June. 14 games, 55 plate appearances. Not as an everyday player. I know he's close to being an everyday player, but he's played way more in other months. So I think we've sounded like a one of those vinyls, a broken record, skipping and skipping and skipping. Taylor Walls is a valuable contributor if you do not overexpose him. And unfortunately, because of somebody's off the field actions or alleged accusations, he has been overexposed. And you would hope that Ha-Seong Kim's return would grant the Rays the opportunity to utilize Taylor Walls as he should be utilized. As a guy that comes in the seventh inning, gets possibly one at bat, great defense, secures the outs that you need, and a start a week or two at the most. At the bottom of the order, he provides a good walk percentage, speed. That's a valuable player. That's a valuable contributor. And he's been able to do that in June. So I just wanted to give him and Zack Littell props for the work that they've been doing, especially to Taylor Walls in this month, because he has been fantastic. We've got much more to talk about. I want to talk about Taj Bradley's struggles. I want to hear your comments about it on Twitter and on YouTube. I am going to talk about all-star voting and schedule changes and much more. But first, I got to tell you something very important, or at least Kevin does.
All right, it's that time. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Go ahead, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios, it is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. What are you waiting for? Go ahead. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. What's really cool about this too is no shells. So it makes that grab and go so much easier. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios, it is the snack that works as hard as you do. So go ahead, visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So good. I'll repeat it again, wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
All right. And we thank you for making Locked On Race your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's move on to a little bit of what the heck is going on with Taj Bradley. In his last 3 outings, it hasn't been fun for him. Basically, after that great outing against Houston, where he went 7 innings, allowing 3 hits and 1 run, it has been ugly against the Marlins, against the Mets, and against the Orioles. Against the Marlins, he went 4 innings, 6 hits, 7 runs allowed. Against the Mets, 4 innings, 4 hits, 5 runs allowed. And against the Orioles, 1 1/3, 6 hits, 7 runs allowed. First, let's start with the big picture, and then we can get a little bit in. Don't think it's time to go crazy about Taj Bradley. Don't think it's time to pull any sort of big alarm. What I will say is that there's a guy doing exactly what he needs to be doing, which is putting his head down, not saying anything in front of a microphone, and keep shoving. And that's Joe Boyle, who is pitching incredible in AAA. He's got a 1.83 ERA in 13 games, 64 innings pitched, 81 Ks, and a pristine .95 whip. You get out of trouble by not putting runners on. It's simple math. And that's exactly what Joe Boyle is doing. Again, those two things are the reality. I don't think, or at least it is in my view, I don't believe that we should put any sort of like, oh my gosh, Taj Bradley's not working out. No, not at all. I do believe, though, that Joe Boyle is doing everything he can to get a call up. And Shane Baz and Taj Bradley's struggles might merit a look down there in AAA. As I said on the first segment, though, if the Rays are trying to get some value from Zack Littell, maybe that's the move, and then you bring Joe Boyle. The thing with Taj that I think it's the most blatant change is that the four-seam fastball is getting hit more often this year than in years past. He's not getting the whiffs that he used to get on that four-seam. So, being that the pitch that he uses the most, is it something with the shape of the pitch? Is it something with the tunneling of the pitch? Is it something that should regress with time going on? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the Rays are trying to find out right now, but there will become. I mean, you've got a month in some change, basically like 5 to 6 weeks before the trade deadline, to make that type of determination. I still think that there is so much stuff there with Taj that you're not going to give up on him, and neither should you. But I think that people, the fandom is getting a little bit uneasy with maybe Shane has kind of turned it around a little bit, and Taj has been up and down. And maybe that's what's frustrating about Taj, is that you see the success, you see the stuff, but you don't see the stability. You don't see the constant production. And obviously that's going to be frustrating as a fan to not know what you're going to get from a guy. Zack Littell, he's not going to be the best pitcher ever, but you know that he is rarely going to allow 4 runs in an outing because he doesn't, you know. Uh, and you can tell that with the comments that we've been seeing from you guys on YouTube. I can tell you that at Alexander TB6 says, "Send Tosh down, please raise up." We have another one with at Sam L302. Something's up with Tosh. Let him figure out in Durham with some of the pressure off. Maybe we get Boyle a shot. At Daryl Brooks 4412 says, "I don't want to send him down, but man, is Boyle doing everything he can to prove he should be here? I think you're right." Again, that's the one guy that's doing a lot of work. Dustin Payne says, "Send him down to build up his confidence. Let Boyle free." Wilson Jr. says, "It's not that easy to find a number 5 guy like him. We should stick with him, but some call up will do good things in the win-loss column." Jake Stokes says, "Send him down, bring Boyle up." Peace says, "Send him down for a bit. Boyle is ready now. If we're serious about trying to make the playoffs this year, then you make the move." Roman Rodriguez says, "Stay with him, but Boyle and Seymour are on his back. Tosh has a great potential and is a future ace if handled correctly." And that's the thing, if handled correctly. Blake Snell was sent down, and 15 months later, he won the Cy Young. Ben Zobrist had to be brought down to the minors to basically reinvent his swing, and then became a World Series MVP and a legend for the Rays franchise. It's, you don't, just because you take a step back, and this can also happen to any of us professionally, right? Not everything has to be a step up. It can be a step laterally. It can be a step backwards, but with a better future and path at the forefront. So that could be the case for Tosh. I know that you guys wanted to touch on that because I see the comments and I wanted to give you some of them. Danny Perez says AAA for sure. He's so young still and only had like 2 good months in 3 years. Florida Man says if the Rays believe in him, letting him stay up here and get shelled every other start doesn't help. 2 years ago when he came up prematurely anyways. Give Boyle a chance. That's a good comment, Florida Man, because let's remember that's exactly what happened. Taj wasn't ready to be up, but he was needed. And then he kind of found himself in the rotation. He hasn't found stability except that 8 or 9 incredible starts that he had last year where he won Pitcher of the Month, I believe in July of 2024. But it's the consistency. He hasn't been able to find that just yet. And that gets people frustrated, of course. So we'll see what happens with that, but I don't foresee any big moves with Tosh just yet. Maybe give him 3 to 4 starts. 3, let's say 3 starts. If they go as horribly as they've gone with the Marlins, the Mets, and the Orioles, which I read the numbers at the top, then maybe you are seeing a AAA demotion, at least for a little bit, and then hopefully to come back as strong as he's ever been. We've got much more to talk about, including all-star voting and schedule changes. But first, we got to tell you about something very important at the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, people, you know where to put your dream Skittles when summer sports are in full swing, and that is FanDuel, which is the best way to make every game more exciting. You are already following the action. You know the score box. You know the schedule. Why not make it just a little bit more thrilling? You've got some green Skittles that are accessible in your pocket, and with FanDuel, you can get on that game with your friends, and, they're getting sunburned at the beach. You're not. You're earning extra green Skittles to possibly use at Steinbrenner Field or at the beach itself. So today, if you're new to FanDuel, I got great news, because new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. You heard me right. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit fanduel.com/locked-on to get started today. All right, people. How you guys doing? Just scheduling conflicts. That's why you are seeing me only today. I believe you will see Kevin tomorrow, and then we'll get back together in midweek. Just, life gives you scheduling conflicts, and you have to deal with that. So thank you guys for supporting the pod as you always do with that like and that subscribe. It's really, really means a lot to us that you do, and you take time out of your day to spend with us virtually, and then putting your comments down on YouTube, which is pretty cool because then we know that we've built a community, and that's really cool. I mean, I see at Elephant 2024, at Daryl Brooks, Roman Rodriguez, at Alexander TB6, at Sam L 302, at Rainman Goulet 93.1, and many more of you that constantly comment on the video. So just wanted to give you guys a shout out and thank you so much for doing that. It makes our work much more engaging when you guys do that. I do want to touch on the All-Star voting, which has 2 Rays in the top 5. Jonathan Aranda is currently 3rd in the American League first base counter. He has 879,030 votes and counting, while Goldschmidt of the Yankees has 1,118,000, and Vladdy has 1,192,000. So it's going to be tough for Jonathan Aranda to become the starter unless everybody that's listening to this creates 30 dummy emails and votes the 5 times each day on those 30 emails, and wish ChatGPT could help with that. But maybe that's exactly what Vladdy and Vladdy fans have been doing, and Paul Goldschmidt fans have been doing. So I honestly, Jonathan Aranda is not only a tremendous first baseman with his numbers this year, his numbers can be put up against anybody in the American League. So he should be the first base representative for the American League. But you guys know what it's like in this division. The other guy that is on the top 5 is Brendan Lowe, who has 433,712 votes. That makes him 4th in second base voting. Jose Altuve of the Astros has almost double, 795,123. Jackson Holiday of the Orioles has 806,133, and Gleyber Torres from the Tigers has 1,133,888. It's going to be tough for Brendan Lowe to get in there, possibly as a reserve. I think Jonathan Aranda is going to get in ultimately, maybe not as a starter, but Brendan Lowe has it a little bit tougher. Although, I'm not going to say it because it's not good to say the thing that I was thinking about, that another way that another player could get in, which, we don't want to put that bad juju out there, but you guys know what I was about to say. But let's just hope the votes keep increasing for the Rays. And if you've got extra time, why not vote for them? Also, I should let you know that Junior Caminero at third base is in the top 10, and Yandy Diaz as a DH is also in the top 10. So hopefully they're able to squeak by. Having more than one representative would be cool. I think Drew Rasmussen has made a great case for himself as a starter. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. Last but not least, to finish the show, remember that whole thing we've been talking about since like February or January about the schedule and how, hey, home games are bunched up in the beginning, and then it's going to be Road Warriors the whole way through. Guess what? That's starting now, people, because the Rays will be playing 16 out of the next 19 games away from Tampa. You heard me right. 16 out of their next 19 games. And I'll give you the little breakdown here. The Rays face 3 at Kansas City starting tomorrow. It's a Tuesday. Then 3 at Baltimore. They come back for 3 against the Athletics that are not from Sacramento, quote, quote. Then head for 3 at Minnesota, 3 in Detroit, and then 4 at Boston before the All-Star game. It's insane that the All-Star game is so close to us. With these 19 games, if you are able, I would right now, I would sign an 11-8. 11-8 in the next 19 games, I sign that up. Sign me up for that. Because that means that they have not only remained with the cushion that they've built in the last 30 or so games, above 500, but then they're also going to be able to show the front office, hey, we're real. If you just give us an extra punch in either the lineup, in either maybe not the rotation, but the bullpen. Imagine if you get a block down reliever. Look, we all love Pete Fairbanks, but you can always make the bullpen better. And I'm not saying to replace Pete Fairbanks, but what about a setup guy that is nails? Wouldn't that make the decision of taking out a Zack Littell after 69 pitches, which the Rays love to do, a little bit more digestible for Rays fans if you know that your bullpen is not an issue? 8 and 9, done. We're done. We got Fairbanks and this new trade acquisition gone, and then you've got your other players. I know Uceta hasn't been great this season, and it's been kind of frustrating seeing him, but I think Clevenger has done a great job. Manuel Rodriguez should be coming back from the IL soon-ish. But you could get, Kevin Kelly coming back from the IL recently. Hunter Biggie, sending good vibes to Hunter Biggie. That was scary. That was incredibly scary what happened to him. But from what we've heard, from quotes from the players and all that, seems like he is in stable condition and is okay and being himself. So just wanted to give him, Hunter Biggie, a shout out on the pod. He's a friend of the pod, so hopefully he's doing well and can return to the Rays very, very soon. But that's something to consider. If the Rays are able to go 11-8 in the next 19, you increase your cushion, but you're also showing the front office, hey, just give us that one guy. We know the Rays are not going to get many guys, because I know that McClanahan and Kim, they're hoping they'll be their additions. Like they always say, like, oh, that's like a trade deadline acquisition. But if you're able to just get that one, because I'm not asking for 3, 4 guys, 2 guys. I'm asking for one. Can you give us one reliever that makes us feel better about taking out a starter that only has allowed 1 run in 69 pitches after the 5th inning? That would make people not complain about that, because your bullpen is nails. So we'll see. 11-8. Maybe drop it in the comments. Not only what you thought about the Detroit Tigers weekend series win. Tell me about what you think of Zack Littell, Taylor Walls, Tasha's struggles, the All-Star voting, the schedule change. Let us know what you think, and we'll be able to read those in the next episodes. Hopefully, maybe Kevin can read those on Tuesday's episode. But for now, just want to thank you for listening to Locked On Rays, either on an audio platform or on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please, please, please hit that like button. It's free, and you help us beat the algorithm. And don't we want to all beat the algorithm? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So thank you. Stay safe, and make sure that after Locked On Rays, you listen to Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to those podcasts.